support local authorities in a number of ways, and it obviously depends on the procurement process and the different scenarios with that. So I think with regards to the procurement side is obviously you do have the procurement by the local authority. So that effectively enables the local authority to be in control of the processes. So with regards to that, that's almost like looking at the sort of train the trainer approach, and effectively maybe then the local authority can then train the schools. Okay, so with regards to the train the trainer approach, that is where Access will train the local authority. Okay, and I think before training the local authority, it is also taking that step back and understanding what the requirements are for how they want the system to be set up. And that includes things like chart of accounts, as we mentioned, with individual schools. With the local authority, it may be that they want control, for example, over the ledger structure, but the schools can have that access to the cost centre structure as such. So again, there may be that sort of hybrid of how the local authority control that, including things like supplier lists. So I think with regards to the setup, we know that when we're working with the local authority in silo, effectively that potentially can give them more control, where they can do consolidation for budgets, finance, and effectively get that information. And by setting it up for each school the same, it obviously means that we can obviously get that all set up, a consistent approach across all the schools. Now, once everything's been set up, effectively what that then does mean is obviously the train the trainer approach. So that is effectively where we will train the local authority. And also we are able to accredit the local authority based on an assessment at the end of that to enable you to obviously ensure that you get the right training, but also that once you've done the training, that you understand the training as well. Okay, and then once that's been completed, you are effectively accredited to effectively then obviously go and train your own individual schools. Now, that's obviously how you train the schools. As we mentioned on previous webinars and sessions, is obviously it's around the 5 modules. So with regards to those 6 modules, is effectively it's looking at system setup. Now, I think that may be quite key for the local authorities and how they want the system set up. So it may be, for example, the local authority are the administrator rights or the master users, we call it in finance, where they can control certain aspects to the system to enable them to do things on behalf of the school. Okay, and that depends obviously how the system's set up, but the way Access Finance has been set up or is designed is to make things flexible so that we can work for you depending on the different scenarios that are available. So once the training, as I mentioned, the system set up, it's then obviously the day-to-day training with regards to purchase ledger, sales ledger, and obviously the journals, which effectively covers how to put transactions into the system. And again, as I've mentioned previously, with the local authority, I know that they generally, from my experience, is they generally do some transactions on the school's behalf, like utilities and paying bills on their behalf. So if that is the case, again, we do have certain import journals. So rather than rekeying things in at school level, they can be sent a file that can then effectively be uploaded to obviously take the human error away from that as well. Okay. And then the final bit, and probably the key bit then, is the training with regards to reporting. So obviously from a local authority, you've got your sort of standard reports like your CFR return. There's obviously something that needs to be completed each year as a statutory requirement. And obviously the day-to-day reports with regards to budget monitoring, how they report into the local authority. So that's obviously that seamless link between budgets and finance to ensure that you can get the silo between the two systems. And then obviously the day-to-day stuff, the day-to-day reports, things like VAT returns, bank reconciliations, and obviously the day-to-day reports to governing body, as well as obviously transaction list reports as well. So all of that can obviously be trained to the local authority, and that information can then obviously be cascaded down to the schools by the local authority. However, we can obviously sit in the background to support any initial onboarding questions that may come on board. So again, we can obviously do that support going forward as well. Okay, but it does give that opportunity for the local authority to enable that sort of trading services. So if you're looking at maybe going towards maintain and looking then to branch out into academies, that obviously gives you quite a solid base from a training services point of view for that local authority, depending on what your aspirations are.